All sorts of fun you could have here when you visit the Gold Coast of Australia. Obviously our favorite part, join the ocean and the beautiful waves, the world-class waves that host the world's best every year for the season opener for the Quicksilver and Quik Pro. But also when the sun goes down, there's beautiful restaurants, place where you can let loose, dance. Potts is a great dancer. Seen a lot in the past.
Oh, Joe, you're a funny guy.
Pro surfing at times.
I'm too tired from surfing all day, man.
Oh, we've been mind surfing with the world's best. It's been amazing to look at what we've seen go down today. We got our first perfect 10.
We did.
That was from Lakey Peterson.
And guess what? She backed it up with a couple of 9s. Unbelievable.
Massive total. One of the best totals she's had in her career. And what a way to do it at the first stop of the season. And this one, always a crowd favorite because it features one of the most popular surfers in the world. Kelly Slater looking for a huge run at a 12th world title as he takes on Nat Young, coming from the trials this year. He's up just a quick carve and they're out. Nat got a 3.5 on his opener. Kelly's out again, so they're just searching for something to get going here.
Yeah, well, sort of jockeying for position, you know, just feeling each other out, seeing what's going on, trying to keep that inside position, which is very, very important. You want to get that first solid wave. And with what's on offer out there at the moment, you know, you've got to try and find those little double-up ones like Michelle Barrez got. You need excellent scores to make it through these heats, Joe.
And excellent scores were so common for Kelly Slater throughout his career. Going back to his early wins here on the Gold Coast, that was back when they still scored top 3 waves. So he lived through that change, going to top 2. So we see what Nat did on this one.
Oh, big snap in the pocket right there. And trying to milk this one all the way through the inside. So Nat Young is going to have to go to maneuvers. Kelly's going to probably look for a couple little barrels. But Nat looking sharp. He won the trials to get into the main event. Finds himself up against one of the best of all time. So he's going to have to produce something special here, Joe.
That's right. Kelly Slater going on record saying he's putting everything into a 12th world title run. Now 45 years of age. Turned 45. In February last month, has the same birthday as Jordy Smith on February 11th. Looking for his 56th championship tour win this season. We go back to that topic of top 3 waves. During that era when Kelly started getting a couple of wins out here, we also had a man named Shane Beshen create a magical run on the Goldie when he had not 1, not 2, but 3 10s in a heat.
And his 4th score was a 9.98 or something like that. So he was very close to getting 4 10s. That was when Kira was Kira, you know, and hopefully one day we'll get to see that again.
Be amazing to see that feat. Obviously, we can't match that record anymore because it's top 2 scoring rides. Kelly Slater's a guy who's had perfect heats himself. More recently last season at Chopu Tahiti in the matchup with Keanu Singh. 24 on the clock in this one. Still small scores. Nat had to fight through the trials. Potts, you were here for that.
Yep.
The waves were tiny.
Tiny.
But he was ripping.
He was. It was a tough final as well. I mean, he was up against some local natural footers and he was on his backhand, and traditionally a very tricky wave when it's small. So Nat Young, you know, just showing that he's hungry. He wants back on, that's for sure.
Nat's looking at this wave, but it's Kelly's turn if he wants it. Sets up his first rail hook. Slater looking clean. Will torque it real quick in the pocket. It's got a great inside track and a ton of momentum. Hard off the bottom, hits it under the lip. Driving out in front. A big wrapping cutback. He'll hang on, pull into the barrel, and he ends up out the back. So Kelly's best wave so far. Needed a 4.57 to take the lead.
Yeah, that board looks like it's going pretty good, Joe. It's got that really nice glide. It looks like it's super free. It doesn't look like it's catching. Conditions like this, you really get to see how boards glide across the top of the water, and that board looks beautiful under his feet. Turns on a dime as well. Looks like he can pivot really quick in that really tight pocket. So Kelly Slater looking like he's on form right now. He's going to have to be, though, because Nat Young's going to throw everything at him.
Kelly Slater surfed over 1,000 heats at the championship tour level over the years. As we see the replay of that opening hook, like you said, Potts board looking solid. How'd you like the second move?
Well, I'll tell you what, watch this. See how the board glides. Look at that. It's just absolutely drifting perfectly over the water. Jams it in the pocket. You know, you've got to have a board right now, especially in these conditions, that you can really hook it round in these really tight sort of sections. So Kelly looking like he's on the right equipment, that's for sure.
Beautiful sunset now in the distance. This is the final heat of the day. Maxing out our time here at Snapper Rocks. Commissioner's office was laughing at the conditions. They loved every minute of it and said we're going to keep going as long as we had some daylight. Kelly, Nat, happy to perform for this amazing crowd here on the beach. And one of the most celebrated, well, the most celebrated athletes in the lineup now. There always used to be rumors of him moving on. When he was at the top of his game, I was always one to say, oh no, he's got to be back. He has to be there to battle with the best in the world each and every year. For world champions, they want Kelly to be in the mix. So they say their world title run happened with the greatest of all time.
Absolutely. It just gives that world title way more credit. You know, I think to have Kelly there is just a feather in the cap, so to speak. But you know, he's been winning world titles long before most of these guys were even born. So just to be able to keep surfing at such a high level is just phenomenal.
Kelly won a world title in the early 90s, 92, and then the second year was a tough year for him on tour. Coming to Pipeline, there was a lot of people with a mathematical shot at winning. Derek Ho accomplished top honors and became the first Hawaiian world champ. Then Kelly came back the following year with a vengeance and basically dominated the rest of the 90s until he took time off, won a title in 98, and then kind of took off, went on surf trips. He'd make some wild card performances just like he does now and talk about Pipeline, Chopu, all those waves that really push him. He doesn't want to miss. So during those years off, he won a lot of heats as a wild card.
And then Andy Irons came along and started winning, and Kelly thought, you know what, here's someone that's worthy. Let me have a shot at this guy. And well, came back and won more world titles. Then Mick and Joel came along and thought, well, might as well hang out with these guys and win a few more world titles. And then John and Gabriel came along and fired him up even more. So who's next? What's Kelly? Obviously, he's going to commit to this year 100% and try and win another world title. There's whispers that he is probably going to hang it up after this, but I doubt it. I don't think he can.
Well, we heard him say, too, he's like, well, people are taking it that way, that it might be my last year. And he kind of went on to say, well, if he feels like he can win another one next season, a lot of ifs and whens and maybes, it's all up to him. But this could be his final year. We'll still wait for that official statement as this one progresses.
I think Kelly's going to be wheeling himself down in a wheelchair and paddle out in his heat when he's around about in his 80s, I reckon. He'll still be competing.
And winning heats. He's that talented. 19:30 on the clock. We just had a huge upset in the first heat of round two. Mikey Wright took out world number 6, Michelle Perez. Mikey's with Kaipo.
Well, guys, it was a good day for the Wright family. Mikey Wright making it 3 for 3. Mikey, great job out there. Was it inspirational for you to see, first of all, big brother Owen come back, win his heat? Then Sis comes through. She wins her heat. And then you did it this afternoon, second to last heat of the day, and you take a heat win.
Yeah, I was, to watch Owen first heat back since his injury and to just go out there and actually tear it apart, it was really good to watch. And then, my sister went out and absolutely smashed it. And, it was been fun waves all day. And, was happy to get a win in that heat. And Michelle's a really good surfer, and I was kind of a little bit bummed when I missed that wave at the end, but in the end he didn't get the score, so I was happy.
Things worked out. One thing that didn't work out, you have a casualty, broke a board out there, creased it in 2 places. Was that a special board? You got some backups? Give me an equipment update.
That was my best board. The board I just rode at the end then is the exact copy of it. It goes the exact same, so quite happy I still have this one. Definitely a little bit bummed that I broke it, but still got this board and I've still got backup.
So I've seen some clips of you. First of all, the McTwist, whatever people want to call it, was properly corked, okay? But do you find yourself having to kind of pull back a little bit when you got the jersey on?
No, not at all. Like if I had the sections out there, I'd go for it. I'm try to surf smart, and when the sections come, really go for it.
Well, great job, Mikey. Congratulations. We're going to see you in round 3.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kaipo. And Kaipo's one man that appreciates all elements of action sports. The McTwist, a maneuver performed in skateboarding many years ago by Mike McGill, and then in a free surf leading up to this event, we saw Mikey Wright perform it in the water. A never seen before rotation in surfing. He can have credit to being the first to pull that thing off as the air movement's changing. But I love how he'll go stick to power hooks and just play that power game as well. It's not every heat you see him going above the lip.
Surf smart. That's exactly what he said. And, I'm not only impressed with his surfing, but I'm super impressed with his post-heat interviews too.
That's right.
I mean, for someone that doesn't have a lot of time doing that kind of stuff, he's got it down, hasn't he?
And I can't think of another event where we had 3 siblings win their heats at the championship tour level.
Yeah.
And during that interview, you were getting pretty excited with the start of this wave for Nat Young.
Yeah, Nat Young absolutely went to town on this one. Just some beautiful turns to kick things off. Now he finds that inside section. Nat Young snaps it off the top. And on his way to a great score, but then does that. And that's going to be Nat Young, really. He fell off tour last year because of that very, very situation. So especially up against someone like Kelly, you can't afford to make those kind of mistakes, Joe.
And it's just not Nat Young. He doesn't fall. He never used to fall in his rookie year. He finished in the top 10. Last year, he had some awkward finishing moves that he didn't pull off, and he's aware of him. He'll look at it, look at the tape, and try to fix it. Kelly's up now. Cut back to slide, one of his signature moves. He's performed at Snapper Rocks for about 20 years. Throws out another version of it, now into a speed float, right into the flats, over the roof again. Now he'll jam it off the top, climbs the inside corner, and he'll finish solid. Kelly had a 5.17 earlier. Needed a 4.51 for the lead. Last of Nat Young came in at a 6.17.
That's why they call it the Gold Coast. So have a look at that. Absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I mean, let's get back to Nat Young's wave. 6.17. That could have been up into the 7+ range and really, turned the screws a little bit on Kelly Slater. Kelly needing a 4.51 at this stage. And after that last wave, pretty much we're going to see a lead change. Even these sort of low-scoring heats, I find a lot more exciting. The high-scoring heats, one guy runs away with it. It's kind of boring. I like these sort of heats where surfers build momentum and they start building their scores. Kelly knows he's got to get that lead back and just keep putting the pressure on Nat Young. Kelly just jamming. You talk about that snap to slide. He's got that absolutely down, up and over the section, and again through the lip. Now watch this one right here. He does another one. Snap, slides the tail out, and the agility right there to finish that last maneuver off. In his mid-40s and surfing like a spring chicken.
Really impressive to see his control at 45, turning in a 7.0 for this ride. Where did the 7 come from? Where was the money turn here?
Just a variety, Joe. I think just the whole wave put together. I think that was there was not really one maneuver that stood out. I think it was just the concession, the rapid fire, just from one to the next. And as that wave got smaller and the transition got harder, Kelly adapted to that. And I think that the judges were impressed. So obviously a 7-point ride locked in.
Kelly back out there to do some more damage in this battle, building on his score line. Nat Young needs a 6.01 now after the 7 from Kelly Slater. Last year on tour, we're traveling a lot with Ross Williams, and he had some home footage from the early 90s of when they were coming down here with that Momentum Generation crew, famous for being in all the Taylor Steele videos. Ross actually got Kelly in a heat out. It was actually at Burley Heads when the event would move up there at times. But you could tell their whole support crew, that whole Momentum Generation, was watching everyone's heat, from guys like Ross to Kelly to Shane Dorian, Taylor Knox, and the list went on. They were making movie parts and traveling around the world trying to win events. They were kind of doing double duty, and they all accomplished it really well.
And a lot of people wanted to be a part of that. It was such a powerful movement, and these guys fed off each other. They supported each other, traveled with each other, but also competed vigorously against each other. They wanted to beat each other. Was that bragging rights? And Kelly obviously was the leader of the pack, but the talent that came out of that Momentum Generation was amazing. Made a lot of guys jealous.
Yeah, it sure did. They took over the spotlight, and for good reason, pushing the sport in such a great direction. Kelly out front over Nat Young at the moment with 12:40 to go. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Gold Coast. We see this beautiful sunset, and we've got one heat to finish. We're still 11 minutes on the clock. As we remember, this first start of the season is important for a jump start on the world title race. 45% of Gold Coast champs go on to win a world title that same year. It happened for Medina in 2014. It's happened for Kelly for 3 of his 11 world titles. And it happened for Fanning back in 2007. So we'll see how it unfolds this year. It's not every year, but 45% of the time in history when you look back over the last decade of events here for the Quik Pro. That was Kelly's idea, coming back to play. If he's in a competition, he's here to win. If he's on tour, he's here to win a world title. We'll see how this run's going to go with more contenders than he's ever seen before. Back to action here with Kelly Slater. Late takeoff. He'll pull into the barrel, and he found the exit out the back. Now he's got a little bit of downtime to work with. Keeps that flow with a couple of fading turns. Wraps it, and he wants this low road to start spinning for him. Hits it vertically, now wraps it again. So filling in the gaps well to go the distance on the inside. Another drawn out roundhouse cut back with a tight rebound. He's gonna push back to the source one more time. Drills the rebound section, but he ends up out the back.
You could kind of say one of the best wraparound cutbacks in the game, yeah, Joe. I think that's a safe bet to make.
I like that call, Potts.
One of the best tube riders in the world. You could probably say that as well. You know, along with everything else the guy does. I mean, he's a super freak, but a nice little wave right there, just trying to better his score. 5.17 is what he's looking for. Look at this beautiful positioning right there. And underneath the priority of Nat Young, so that's even going to rub salt into the wound for Nat. Score's dropping for him. But, you know, watch this wave. Once it dies out, he keeps going to town, and that board just fires for him straight up through the lip. Watch this cutback right here. Zap! All the way back into the white water. And again, watch the rail work right here from Kelly Slater. All the way around, bangs it off the top. I mean, that was absolutely sweet as. And Kelly Slater looking sharp right here. Scores dropping for that last wave, and it's going to improve his situation.
Back-to-back scores in the 7 range for Kelly to increase his lead. Behind that wave that Kelly was on, Nat Young took a look at this one.
Yeah, Nat Young on his backhand now. He's in a situation looking for a 7.86. Realizing that wasn't going to do it. He needed something with a bit more vertical face to get that big backside hook going. He kicks out of that, but maintains priority. So very important there for Nat Young to keep that priority with 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Kelly Slater starting to open up a little bit of a gap now, Joe.
8:39 on the clock here in the final heat of the day. Just about 6 o'clock in the evening, local time here in Queensland. As we're already making eliminations in the Roxy Pro, finishing round 2 today, losing some big names from Malia Manuel, fresh off a win at the Australian Open. Also, Silvana Lima falling victim to a groundbreaking performance from Lakey Peterson with our first perfect 10. We lost Michelle Perez, world number 6 in the last one, and Kelly up now, sliding out of the first turn. Knows that he doesn't want to repeat what happened last season when he got knocked out to Stu Kennedy. Kennedy obviously was a hero going all the way to the semifinals, but it continued a streak that Kelly wants to move on from. Getting knocked out of the event in round 2 and round 3 is what's happened the last 2 seasons out here.
Yeah, I break that down to conditions, Joe, and I think the forecast for the events over the last couple of years was less than average. So, you know, Kelly would have, I don't know, you know, I think this forecast is looking a lot more promising. You know, we're looking at bigger swell throughout the period, so that's going to fire Kelly up. You know, everywhere we go around the world, if the forecast looks good, if we know we're going to get cranking waves, that's what gets Kelly going. So, you know, you can tell he's got a bit of pep in his step because he wants to stay in this event. He wants to serve snapper with one other guy up.
And I guess you continue on with your story there, and then his last win was in perfection here when you moved down to Kira in that all-star battle with Joel Parkinson in the final. Fanning went all the way to the semifinals in that event. It was an absolute classic to reflect on.
He won that event, served through, they only had the semis and the finals left that morning, so he went through semis and finals. He came in, they did the presentation, he did an hour of interviews and signed autographs till everyone had an autograph, then he paddled back out and surfed till dark.
I'm watching this one unfold. Kelly doesn't have priority. Nat Young is going to take the opportunity. Throws it up through the whitewater, but it's not the one he wanted. Kelly has priority and the lead, down to 6:30 to go.
Well, that was a bit of strategy right there for Kelly. He's a good salesman as well, because that wave really didn't have much to offer, and Nat Young utilising his priority, Kelly forcing the issue, and Nat Young taking the bait.
A big move for Kelly, understanding the lineup, understanding the game, and knowing what a solid wave looks like here at Snapper Rocks, with more experience than anybody in the world at every venue on tour. But that seems to be the recipe that brings out a lot of Nat Young's best. When he was a rookie, he didn't have a high C. He went through those rookie era with a lot of success. He had nothing to prove. He just had to show up and do his kind of surfing, and he made finals too in that rookie year. Won at Bells Beach, a challenging one for goofy footers, and then later down in Europe in Portugal.
Absolutely right. What did he end up, 9th that year?
I believe 8th in the world.
8th in the world, right, there you go. So, you know.
Watching that again, remember he lost priority on that last one, so Kelly can take this wave. Kelly feeling this thing is going to grow down the line. It's already starting to bottom out on the sandbank, going for the alley-oop. Extends it off the top. It's a flyaway. But you can definitely hear the Kelly Slater fans even just going above the lip there.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake right there for Kelly. He's left the door open a little bit for Nat Young. You can tell, splashing the water, going, what did you do that for? You know, sticking to the wave has been working for him right now, and, you know, you don't want to start losing a bit of confidence, you know. I was actually going to say it'd be nice to see a shot from the water, because look at everyone that's just come down to watch Kelly Slater surf. Everyone's just lined the coastline. It's the Slater factor.
It's almost like remembering when Michael Jordan in basketball kind of came back out of retirement, and every place was selling out because it was a chance to see one of the greatest ever to perform. And Kelly has that kind of entourage come through. Anytime he walks through any town around the world, people know his name, his face. He's such a great ambassador for the sport, giving back in positive waves. And right now, giving it a true shot at a 12th world title, trying to survive round 2. Remember, he had to surf earlier in that super clash with Jeremy Flores and Mick Fanning. Jeremy had the lead almost till the final buzzer sounded, and Mick Fanning stole it off him. So Kelly wanted to get back in the water to get that winning feeling today. Absolutely.
Just shake it off, you know. I think it's better to do it that way and not have to go to bed and stew on it and think about it overnight and maybe have a sleepless night. But this heat is not over yet, though. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Nat Young is capable of dropping big scores. 7.86 required from Nat Young. And this is how we got there, Joe.
That's right. Checking out the heat recap. Loving seeing Nat Young back in the CT jersey, winning the trials, as he's already been doing the QSs this year, on road to come back to the top 34. Just one spot out from requalifying at the end of the Pipe Masters last season. He picked off this gem that kept on giving, but ended up falling on this move right there. That was his 617, and he knew he left some points on the board.
Oh, absolutely right. You know, the little mistakes like that against the world's best, this doesn't cut it. Nat Young making a mistake, Kelly Slater capitalizing on it, and has gone from strength to strength. Pocket 7's a 7 and a 7.03, so not a huge scoreline for Kelly, but tricky conditions here this afternoon. It's kind of slowed up a little bit. Kelly Slater has had the pick of the bunch, though, and is surfing loose.
Kelly late takeoff into the barrel. Really started finding his feet here. He had back-to-back 7s where he was really starting to take over. Got through this inside, and I love when he's just setting up the cutbacks that he's throwing down. All of them have variety. Some of them have a tail slide, and he's been doing more full roundhouse cutbacks than I think any competitor today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ability to get it all the way around and then bang it off the whitewater. It's almost like a backside snap off the lip. And Kelly Slater, look at that board. Just rail work is excellent here in these little tight transitions, and Kelly looking sharp, that's for sure.
Down to 2:15 to go following this matchup. Join us for the WSL Post Show, hosted by Ronnie Blakey. We'll be joined by Pete Mel and Strider Wazalewski to break down a massive day for the Quicksilver and Roxy Pro. Talk about the major upsets, the top performers of the day, as we move on through the waiting period. Potts, which has promising signs of even better ways into the weekend.
Well, the swell looks like it's going to grow throughout this entire waiting period, so looks like we're going to have a few days in a row at least. I'm sure tomorrow we'll be back on, and the day after that, and the day after that, and hopefully the day after that. So as long as the winds cooperate, it doesn't need to be big. I mean, we've seen today it's, head high, maybe some bigger sets, but the Snapper Rocks doesn't need to be 6 to 8 foot. It's not like a choker or a pipeline or a cloud break where you need those big bombing sets. 3 to 4 foot is perfect out here, and with the world's best on it, it's going to be a great show.
Minute 15 on the clock. Nat Young makes a move with priority, and he wants this wave to grow. He needs a 7.86 to take out Kelly. Starts off solid, whips it vertically again. Now hammers it off the lip, slams on the brakes, and packs the barrel. He'll make it out through the inside corner. Late hit on the float, gets out of there as he was chasing down a 7.86, now down to 45 seconds to go.
What do you think, Joe? I'm not feeling it. A couple of nice turns, good technique to get in and out of the barrel. Just wasn't big, open, wide enough. Let's have a look at the replay and analyze it. Nat Young using his priority. He had to go, didn't he? He had to do something. He's running out of time. Just a bit of downtime there. Didn't quite get that around that section quick enough, but a couple of beautiful turns. Didn't quite connect that one. Off the bottom, snap, and then right here, hits the brakes, pulls in. I mean, that was tough. It was a really tricky little section to pull into, and then kicks out. So a 7.86. That is a huge score that is required by Nat Young.
Still with some time on the clock, Kelly's going to get a final wave to score for this heat. An absolute hanger off the lip, but he ends up going down right at the horn as we stand by for scores for the outcome of round 2, heat number 2. Nat Young gave himself a shot just getting into that wave before this heat came to a close. Kind of ran off on the inside in a real small, speedy section. And that's a pretty big number to be looking for. 7.86 compared to the 7s that we already saw from Kelly in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to come up short for sure. But, Nat Young, I mean, he's looking good if he can clean up those little mistakes. I think it all started with that 6.17 that, he did all the hard work and then made that mistake right at the end. Against someone like Kelly, you can't afford to do that. It leaves the door open, and that's the last thing you want to do with someone like him.
And that was that momentum shift from Nat Young when he picked off such a gem, the 6.17 that he had earlier. You saw him come through some tough heats in the trials to get a spot into the event. He knows that the commissioner's office is watching, so he can get points to get the call up later on this season. Remember, he was just one spot out when we saw Zeke Lau get the spot. That was the spot he was taking. Nat Young fell out just in the dying seconds of that event.
Heartbreaking stuff. You really do feel for him. I mean, these guys put so much effort into it, so much commitment. They sacrifice so much to get out there and then to lose by one spot. I mean, that's just heartbreaking stuff.
It was the tough part about it. Celebrations on one end, and then Nat Young realizing he was one spot out of continuing his role on the Dream Tour. We love to see him win the trials and back to action here at Snapper, so he still hasn't missed an event yet. Numbers come in for Nat Young, a 6.77, not enough. Kelly Slater survives round 2 and moves on to the 3rd round of competition at the Quicksilver Pro Gold Coast. And after the heat's over, why not get barreled on your way in?
Oh, well, I like the way that guy gave way to Kelly too. He didn't drop in on the guy let him go. Come on, off you go, get out of the water. It's our turn now.
Free serve is already getting exciting. It's already getting packed off the rocks here at Snapper Rocks as we stand by for a WSL post show to go over tons of highlights, including our first perfect 10 of the season with Ronnie Blakey, Peter Mel, and Strider Wazalewski. We'll see you then.